Where do you believe we come from? Where do people come from and everything around us?
Wow, that's a big question. These definitely are big questions. I don't really know.
We didn't say medium questions, right?
yeah, exactly.
I have no idea.
I mean, I think it's evolution and stuff. And I know,
That's a good answer. I
yeah,
think that too.
yeah, and I know most people come from like we all started in Africa. I mean, I read that on the internet, so it could be wrong, could be right. Yeah, that's kind of what I think.
Yeah, well, I'm from Africa, so.
Nice.
Yeah, I think the same. Kind of just evolution. Yeah.
Okay. So evolution is like the process of how things got to be like what they're like right now. Is that a good way of summing it up?
Yeah, that's a great way.
So like if I asked you how a light bulb works, how would you answer that?
I would say a flow of electricity going through a piece of metal.
Yeah. No, we just learned that from physics.
Yeah, we learned-
Right. What if I said someone flipped the switch? Would that be an accurate answer?
Yeah, I think it'd be an accurate answer.
Well, like you flip the switch, then the electricity flows from the switch to the light bulb. So yeah.
So it's two different ways, because one way is describing the process of how it works. The other way is describing how it started, right? So they're both kind of answers. So when we talk about when people talk about evolution, I guess what they're talking about is the process. They're not talking about who flipped the switch. You know what I mean? Do you have any thoughts about that?
I just think that's like two actual answers, and like you don't really know which one like you're trying to ask.
Yeah. Do you have an answer to the other one? The okay, all right.
The Big Bang.
The
Big Bang, yeah, bacteria.
Something just bang.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. What would you say is the meaning of life? Like, why are we here?
I mean, I don't think what we do like affects the grand scheme of things in reality. Like, the universe is pretty big, but I think you're just supposed to enjoy life and do what you think is right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're just here to have fun and enjoy it and make the world a better place before we're here.
Okay. Why do you think we should enjoy it and make it better? Why, as opposed to living completely selfishly, because it's all gonna end up the same, right?
I don't think so. I think it can end up differently based on what you do.
What do you think when the sun eventually implodes on itself? How do you think it's going to make things differently in 1 billion years from now? Like right now, being nice to me as opposed to being really mean, how in 1 billion years is that going to make a difference?
I don't think it's going to make a difference in 1 billion years, but it'll make a difference on your life right now and your life in the future. So I think that's important.
Okay.
I agree, yeah. I think making someone smile is more important than affecting, whatever's going to happen, because you really have no idea what could happen in the future.
Okay. Well, what do you think is going to happen in the future? Like, where's everything going? Like, what happens after you die?
I was
Wow.
literally talking about this with my brother like right before I came here, and we were.
you're primed. You're ready to go.
No, we had no idea. So we just think it's a black space that you just lie in. We have no idea.
I mean, I'd like to believe that reincarnation or heaven exists. I don't like the idea of just an endless, like, black pit.
That's what I think.
Yeah, that scares me a little bit. So I'd like to believe that there's something after death.
Yeah. There's a book written by a guy called Solomon, in the Bible, and he talks about the fact that God has put eternity in people's hearts. So written into our hearts is this idea of eternity, that there's more than just this, that we want to believe, like you've said, that a smile now makes a difference, like causing the chemicals that fire in my brain to fire in a more positive way than a negative way matters. Like, you want to believe that. But if there's no life after this, and if all of this just ends with nothing, and if we're here without a soul, so we're totally just the results of chance evolution, just evolution, then really a smile or not a smile makes no difference, right? It's just that's the way the chemicals are bouncing today because of the way that your chemicals bounce today, and it doesn't really make any change in 10 years from now or 5 years from now or a month from now, right? In the big scheme of things, it's kind of like the waves are just going to come and roll away the footprints.
Nothing matters.
Yeah, nothing matters. But you have eternity in your hearts because you've said, like, that's a scary idea that there's just nothing, right? And I think one of the things that makes it scary is it means that all of the things that we know are injustice and evil and corruption and the horrible things of life, it means that they're never going to be resolved. It means that somebody could live the most wicked life and be totally happy, and somebody could live the most self-sacrificing good life and actually be miserable, and it makes zero difference. But if there's an eternity where these things all come together and are resolved, then it means that actually being kind now could have a positive impact. So the Bible says in the book of Hebrews that God has appointed a day for every man to die. So there's a day when we're going to die, and after that day comes the judgment, when we stand before the God who made us, the God who's written his law on our heart, the law that you guys have been talking about now, when you say, well, I'd rather be kind, I'd rather be nice, I'd rather do the right thing. But you know that that's got meaning. You don't you don't behave like, well, I'm just doing that because that's how I've been conditioned by evolution. You actually believe that it's better to do right than to do wrong, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. I 100% do.
Yeah. And so that's because God made you with that. You're made in God's image. But the reality is we never do that perfectly, right? We always have these like little hidden things of selfishness, doing things for myself, doing things against my conscience. We lie, right? We to protect ourselves, very often we steal. Jesus said this, he said, if you look with lust at someone who's not your spouse, you've committed adultery in your heart, because that's what you want to do if there were no limitations on you. So you're breaking all of these laws that are written on your heart. But the good news is that when we face that day of judgment, we're either going to say, yeah, I know I did a whole lot of nice things and I wanted to do good, but I ended up doing a lot of trash as well. Or we can say, look, I've got nothing to offer you except there was one person, and that was God when he became a man 2,000 years ago in the person of Jesus Christ. And he lived the perfect life we should have lived, but then he suffered the punishment that we should suffer for our sin, for breaking God's law, so that sinners like us, so people who break God's law like us, can actually go free and have meaning in life. I know why it's right to do the right thing, because God said it is, and I can live consistent with it rather than in this kind of struggle against it. Have you heard that kind of thing before?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. How about you?
No, I'm not very religious. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But you guys, in the sense, as soon as you start answering questions about why am I here, what happens after this, those are fundamentally religious questions, right? So everyone's practicing religion. It's just some people are practicing religion in a very pessimistic way, and some of them are doing it more actively. But yeah. Hey, do you guys have a Bible at home at all?
I'm not Christian, so.
Yeah.
I have one or two floating around my house.
Yeah.
Just because my family is religious.
Great, yeah. I'd encourage you to pick one up and maybe read the book of John, and you can find a Bible online. I think you'd find it just insightful because I'm assuming you're open-minded individuals, right? Would be worthwhile taking a look at that and seeing what it has to say. Yeah. Hey, thanks for chatting with me today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
Thanks. Can I give you one of these? There you go.
Yeah, for sure.
You can take that with. Thank you.
At the Crosscurrent, we believe that a church on mission unifies in the gospel and the gifts for the glory of God. And it's been our experience that gospel outreach, or Go Teams missions, are the easiest way for entire churches to equip their saints by example to normalize sharing the gospel and gifts together. That's why we invite you to take your Go Teams missions to the extreme. Extreme Go Teams missions with the Crosscurrent are local missions day trips into major urban centers for the specific purpose of preaching the gospel together through high-volume tracting, one-to-one witnessing, and even open-air preaching. Extreme Go Teams missions allow Christians and their churches to fully leverage the local missions expertise of the Crosscurrent and get equipped by example by walking with some of the most experienced equipping evangelists in Canada. But these missions don't stop there.
The Extreme Go Teams mission was instrumental for me. It took me from kind of having a burden to actually seeing it demonstrated powerfully how it could and should be done, in my opinion. That experience was 9 years ago for me, and I've never lost the zeal. I'm still sharing the gospel in the UK, and that Extreme Go Teams mission was the springboard.
Not only will Extreme Go Teams missions fan the flames of gospel passion in the hearts of individual Christians, but they'll also serve as a launchpad for entire churches to normalize sharing the gospel in all their personal and community relationships together.
I kind of expected like a worst case scenario.
You get a lot of people that are intrigued. They want to know what you're talking about.
We did have a lot of people that were like not receptive to hearing the word, but we also had some very good conversations. And I noticed that not only were we like preaching to other people, but when you say these things, you're also preaching to yourself.
This isn't my comfort zone, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do this, but I know I got to let God do it.
It just shows what God can do. When you come to Him empty, broken, fearful, and I shouldn't be, but I was. And so God filled it all. It was far beyond what I could even imagine.
Would you continue doing this? Do you feel that this is something that this has been helpful to equip you to continue with your church evangelizing?
For sure. It just gives you that self-confidence, God confidence, and once you see and do it out of the love of God, to see that there's souls that are lost and souls that are hurting, and that, you know, it's pouring out the love of God.
He said to us, go into all the world and share this good news. That means we ought to be able to know how to share it.
So, if you and your entire church need to get equipped by example to normalize sharing the gospel and gifts together, enlist in Extreme Go Teams missions with the Cross Current today.